due in week 10. Next week, I'll be holding a conference for May's conference, which is due week 11. There are 2 assignments due next week, so definitely get started on those as soon as you can. I do not have the video for the module 1A up yet, but there should be the video for April comprehensive. But you also have the conference. Since the conferences are relatively new to Harrison, I do have the video up as well on YouTube, and I think I have uploaded it already into the class. So let's get started. Let me unpause my screen so you can see the information. The conference times are the same for next week. So it's Tuesday from 5 to 6:30. It will take pretty much the full hour and a half. Friday night, again, from 6 to 7:30. And then Saturday morning from 10:30 to noon. So you can go ahead and put that on your calendar. Also, the sign-up quiz is available as well, so you can select which conference you're going to be able to attend. And I have double checked, everything is completely working for that. Let's see. So it's a rather long agenda because there is a lot to go over. The comprehensive problems together are 10% of your final grade, which is why I reserved our last 2 required conferences for these 2 assignments. So we're going to do a quick icebreaker, the purpose of the comprehensive, go over some of the directions, the chart of accounts, and how important that will actually be for you when you complete the problems. We're going to go over some transactions, some of the ones that are trickier that students usually consistently miss. We will go over all of the adjusting entries. So if you don't want to take notes or you're not at a place where you can take notes, you can go back and watch the video later and take down the notes that you may need on the adjusting entries. The closing entries, the financial statements, you will actually, because since we changed the balance sheet, so Kayla, to answer your question, they will be in the conference tab, as well as there is a content page in the module. I put it in there tonight. I think I titled it Live Conference Recordings. So it will be there as well. So the one from Tuesday is already up there. So you could stay as long as you need to, then just catch up on the recording later. So, but since you'll be here for most of the time, I'll go ahead and send you the password so you can take the conference assignment. So that is not a problem. Thank you for letting me know. So the closing entries, those are pretty much what we did in week 6. Financial statements, if you remember, the form for the balance sheet changed from week 4 to week 6. So you're going to make sure, week 4 to week 7, you're going to have to make sure you use the correct form. And then a quick wrap up. So far, I love this question. So far, I feel like I have a grasp on accounting. Is that very true, somewhat true, a little true, or not even close? Tuesday, it was somewhat true and a little true. So, so yeah, it's kind of about what I expected. So, let me get let me get the next poll up. So, how many of you have actually looked at the comprehensive? This is a short answer. If I can get my computer to work. So, have you looked at it? Have you just haven't had the chance? Have you thought about it? Okay, let's see. Let's see if I can actually see the answer now. Haven't tried using short answer before, so Kayla, I'm assuming you've at least glanced at it. Could be wrong. But for some reason, it's not allowing me to look at the short answer. So I will change that before tomorrow. So basically, the comprehensive, it's to help you tie everything together. So it basically covers weeks 4, 5, and 6, but weeks 1, 2, and 3 gave you the foundation that you need. So that is part of the process for it and the thinking behind having you guys do it. You're basically going to have a chance at completing from start to finish 2 accounting periods. So you're going to start with the beginning of a business. So you're going to have the first entry where you're putting capital into the business. You're going through the entire month's transactions and entering them in. You're going to enter in the information into the ledger, the 10-column worksheet. You're going to adjust the accounts, and then you're going to close the accounts. And then the information that you have on the post-closing trial balance is actually going to transfer over to May, and that will be for May's beginning balance in the general ledger. So it's a complete cycle. And then you would do the exact same thing for May's comprehensive. So it's a great tool to see how much you've actually learned. So basically, the directions, it's nothing new. There is absolutely nothing that we have not covered already. So journal entries, those are standard. General ledger, that's standard. Make sure you keep a running balance. The trial balance, again, same. 10-column worksheet, chapter 5. Adjusting entries, those were in chapters 5 and 6. Financial statements, definitely look at the ones in chapter 6. The ones in the demonstration problem, pages 197 to 199, are probably the most helpful if you get stuck on formatting. And then the closing entries is chapter 6. Make sure you remember the acronym read, which tells you which accounts to close in which order. So definitely look through those chapters if you get stuck. Don't forget, you can also send me the information as well. So, chart of accounts. Make sure you actually list the accounts on the chart of accounts. So if you're listing for the first transaction where you're putting in capital, make sure you list the full name, the Bob Knight, comma, capital. I grade the chart of accounts, and when you complete your general journal, I grade whether or not you actually use the full account name. Through the quarter, I've been kind of, especially at the beginning, it should be, if somebody put wages, I would put, is it wages expense, wages payable? You need to be more specific. This definitely make sure you're very explicit. Do you have any questions so far? Okay. Transactions again, essentially same thing all quarter. No surprises on April's. May is a little trickier. There's a couple transactions where the accounts aren't quite clear, but again, that's going to be covered through the conference next week. So it's pretty standard as of April. So this one is worded a little weird. It's basically, it's came directly from the textbook. So if you paid rent for lodge and campgrounds for the month of April for $40,000, what accounts would we use? Lodge and accounts receivable, lodge and accounts payable. Exactly. Lodge and cash. It does not say on account. We're going to assume it's cash. So I wasn't worried that that one would be missed. This is again exact transaction where we get into the depreciation. This problem, they actually give you the amount that you're supposed to depreciate in the adjusting entries, but in May you're going to have to calculate depreciation yourself. So it's good to know the formula, which I go over later. So for this transaction, we purchased 10 fishing boats on account for $60,000. They have an estimated useful life of 5 years. They're going to be donated to a local day camp, and arrangements were made to pay for the boats in July. So what accounts would we use? Cash and boats, boats and accounts payable, fishing boats and accounts payable, or cash and fishing boats? Exactly. We would use fishing boats because that is the actual account given in the chart of accounts. So again, that's usually not one that's missed, but by students reading quickly. I know students take time to read every little word. They never miss anything. But so just make sure you're reading each transaction carefully. So for the third one, we purchased food supplies on account from Acme Supermarket for $7,000. Food supplies and accounts payable, exactly. A lot of students think it's food supplies expense, but since it's food supplies, it's like office supplies. We have it on hand. We're ready to use it whenever we need it. So it is one that's commonly missed, which is why I included it. Okay, this one we've actually had a lot more than in past quarters. So we paid Acme Supermarket on account. So when we're paying on our bills, what are we going to use? Actually, that is incorrect. So we know it's going to be cash because all of the choices are cash. But it is actually going to be D because we're paying on what we've already promised. We've purchased the food on account. So we purchased the food using accounts payable. So when we're paying our bill with that company, it's going to be accounts payable. So that is a common one. It's actually near the end of the journal entries. So does it make sense why that one is cash and accounts payable? Okay. Again, these are all commonly missed problems. Okay, oops, adjusting entries. We're going to be doing straight line depreciation. It is the easiest amount to figure out. If you have to take accounting 2, you'll be dealing with a couple more types of depreciation. If you forget the formula for the straight line depreciation, the appendix to chapter 5, so it's directly in between 5 and 6, gives you an example and goes through how to calculate straight line depreciation. So basically, you're going to take your purchase price minus the salvage value, which is how much you think you can sell it for. Take that divided by your useful life is going to give you your yearly depreciation. But in this class, we are worried only about your monthly depreciation. So it goes back to the discussions we had in week 5, I believe, about depreciation and what assets our small business would own that would depreciate. So it's pretty similar to that. So if we take a look at this example, which again is directly out of your textbook, we've purchased 10 fishing boats on account for $60,000. So that is the purchase price. The boats have an estimated useful lives of 5 years, at which time they will be donated. So there is no salvage value. And then again, arrangements were made to pay for the boats in July. So we would take our 60,000 minus 0, which gives us our $60,000 still, divide it by 5, which gives us our annual depreciation, and then divide that by 12, and that's going to give us our monthly depreciation. So if we use that formula, how much would the monthly depreciation be? Exactly. The book gives us the amount for this month only. On your after conference assignment, you will have a couple depreciation transactions to calculate. That way I know you have it ready for May's comprehensive problem. It just gives me a check to see, okay, who has a firm grasp on depreciation. Okay, with our textbook, don't forget that the book switches between telling you the amount left in the account and the amount that you actually need to depreciate for. This is where a lot of students struggle with the comprehensive problem. They're scanning through the transaction. They see an amount of $8,000, so they automatically assume that that is the amount to be adjusted for. Don't assume, make sure you read the transactions carefully. So, for example, is the following amount left? Let's see, office supplies. If you have $100 remaining on hand at the end of the month, is that the amount we're going to adjust for, or is that the amount left at the end of the month? Exactly. It's the amount left at the end of the month. Again, students see the 100 and they go, okay, that's the amount we're going to use. So, same thing with this problem. I'm not going to go through, I'm not going to do the poll on this because it's the same principle as the previous adjusting entry. We have $800 left at the end of the month. So that's the amount that's automatically going to go into the adjusted trial column. So this one I actually had a couple people miss on Tuesday. Insurance expired during the month of $1,500. Are we going to be exactly? That's the amount that we're going to adjust for. So that's the amount that goes into the adjusted trial balance column. So it's, as long as you read carefully, you should be fine. This one, everybody got right Tuesday night, which I am very happy for. So how many closing entries should we have? Not accounts, but just the overall journal entries. Go back and think about the acronym that was in chapter 6. We have revenues, so we close revenues first. Then we close expenses. So close. Okay. We close revenues, then we close our expenses, then we close the income summary account, and then we close the drawing account. So you should have 4 individual closing entries. If you struggle with that, definitely look at the demonstration problem at the end of chapter 6. It shows you the exact closing entries. So, are there any questions on that so far? I know it's getting time for you to have to skedaddle, so try to get as much in. So, financial statements, definitely look at chapters 5 and 6. You have the 10-column worksheet in chapter 5, and then again, the demonstration problem in chapter 6. Definitely great things to look at. The income statement, it's our standard income statement. Nothing has changed. So that is what we've been doing since week 3. So nothing new there. Statement of owner's equity, again, nothing new. Everything is pretty much standard. The main difference is the balance sheet. Week 4, we had the 4-column balance sheet. Week 7, chapter 6, we moved to this version of the balance sheet. When you complete your project, make sure this is the format you use. And make sure when you're doing your property, plant, and equipment, make sure you have one asset, then the accumulated depreciation, the next asset, and the accumulated depreciation for that asset. So are there any questions on the financial statements? So those are the big things I wanted to cover before you had to leave. Okay, I'm going to assume that's a no. So basically, that is really all I had on this. I was trying to get it done so you wouldn't have to spend time watching a recording if you didn't need to. Basically, it's the same rules as standard, same policies. If you have questions, let me know. I'm more than happy to look over the project if you need me to. So again, if you're struggling or you just need me to check your journal entries before you move on to the next part, send me the file, email it to me like you would typically email it to me, text me questions. Let me know. I'm here to help. So, do you have any questions since I know you have to leave? Or at least any that you can think of at this moment in time. There'll probably be some later, I know. Okay. Not a problem, Kayla. Again, if you have any questions, let me know. You know, I'm always here to help. And that's really all we had, so you don't even have to worry about watching a conference. Have a good evening.